Two and a Half Men lit up our screens for over a decade, bringing laughter into homes everywhere with its sharp humor and unforgettable cast of characters. Some of those familiar faces that became part of our memories have quietly left us, some far too soon, others after long private battles with illness. Today, let's take a look back at the lives and journeys of the actors who left a lasting mark in the hearts of fans of this legendary sitcom. Conchata Ferrell played Berta, the blunt, fearless housekeeper who stole every scene on Two and a Half Men. From 2003 to 2015, her savage comebacks and deadpan timing made her unforgettable, earning her 2 Emmy nominations and turning her into one of TV's most iconic sidekicks. But behind that tough persona was a woman who had fought through a lifetime of quiet struggles. Born on March 28, 1943 in Loudonville, West Virginia, Conchata came into the world with humble beginnings. She grew up in poverty, dropped out of school, and took on countless blue-collar jobs just to get by. It wasn't until she was 26 that she dared to step on stage, and the world finally got to see what she could do. Hollywood never made her a star, but audiences did. Even in small roles, Mystic Pizza, Aaron Brockovich, Edward Scissorhands, she lit up the screen with heart and grit. Off-screen, Conchata lived a peaceful life with her husband Arnie Anderson and daughter Samantha. But in May 2020, that peace was shattered. She was rushed to the hospital in critical condition. A kidney infection triggered a massive cardiac arrest. Her heart stopped for 10 minutes. Doctors revived her, but the damage was too great. She spent her last months in a care facility, trapped between machines and fading hope, battling kidney failure and heart complications. On October 12, 2020, Conchata Ferrell passed away at 77. Her death sent shockwaves through the industry. She may have been just the housekeeper on screen, but to fans everywhere, Berta was the heart of the show. Michael Clark Duncan played Jerome Burnett, a retired NFL player with a massive build, infectious humor, and the kind of friendly energy that lit up any scene in Two and a Half Men. He took on the role at age 51, and although it was a short appearance, his presence was impossible to overlook. With his towering figure, warm demeanor, and that unmistakable laugh, Duncan always made a scene feel fuller. Growing up in a working-class neighborhood in Chicago, he was raised by his single mother, who worked as a house cleaner to keep the family afloat. Before making it in show business, Duncan held gritty jobs like digging ditches and working as a bodyguard for celebrities such as Will Smith, Martin Lawrence, and the late Notorious B.I.G. The murder of B.I.G. in 1997 deeply affected Duncan, prompting him to walk away from the security world and pursue acting with everything he had. That decision changed his life. With a push from Bruce Willis, who personally vouched for him, Duncan landed a role in Armageddon, 1998. That opportunity opened the door to what would become his most unforgettable performance, John Coffey in The Green Mile, 1999. As the gentle death row inmate with a mystical gift, Duncan moved audiences worldwide and earned an Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actor. At the time of his death, his net worth was estimated to be around $18 million. Off-screen, he shared a public romance with reality star Omarosa Manigault. But after his untimely passing, controversy followed. Duncan's family accused Omarosa of altering his will, selling off his possessions, and misrepresenting their relationship, claims that left fans heartbroken and stunned. On July 13, 2012, Duncan was rushed to the hospital after suffering a massive heart attack. Although he initially survived, he never fully recovered. He passed away on September 3, 2012 from respiratory failure, just shy of his 55th birthday. Orson Bean played Roy, a clever, flirtatious older gentleman who brought a playful spark to Two and a Half Men. He took on the role at age 75, and while it wasn't a major part, his sharp wit and undeniable charm made the character stand out instantly. Off-screen, though, Orson's life was filled with both triumph and tragedy. Born as Dallas Frederick Burroughs on July 22, 1928 in Burlington, Vermont, he faced heartbreak early. His mother died by suicide when he was just 16. Later, during the Red Scare in Hollywood, Bean was blacklisted simply for dating a woman affiliated with the Communist Party. Still, he pressed on, building a decades-long career that made him a familiar presence in American homes through shows like To Tell the Truth, Desperate Housewives, Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman, How I Met Your Mother, and many more. At the time of his death, his net worth was estimated at $4 million, a result of years of relentless dedication to the craft he loved. Bean was married 3 times and lived a life marked by both hardship and heart. Even in his 90s, he never stopped performing. His final role came in Grace and Frankie in 2020 at the remarkable age of 91. Tragedy struck on the night of February 7, 2020. While crossing a street in Venice, Los Angeles, Bean was hit by a car. As others rushed to help, a second vehicle struck him again, this time fatally. The shocking accident broke the hearts of fans and colleagues alike, bringing a sudden and sorrowful end to a long and meaningful life. Georgia Engel played Pat McDougal, the gentle, elegant, slightly clueless mother-in-law whose voice was so soft it felt like a hug. Her brief time on screen was all it took to leave a lasting impression, but the sweetness that made her so beloved on screen was the same quiet strength she carried in life. Born on July 28, 1948 in Washington, D.C., Georgia grew up in a military family, the daughter of a U.S. Coast Guard admiral. She studied ballet, majored in theater, and with grace, not noise, carved out a career that lasted more than 4 decades. Audiences loved her for The Mary Tyler Moore Show, Everybody Loves Raymond, Hot in Cleveland, and so many other shows where she made every role glow, never flashy, always unforgettable. Her understated brilliance earned 5 Emmy nominations, a BAFTA nod, and the admiration of an entire industry. Yet behind the charm was a quiet tragedy. Georgia was a devout Christian Scientist. She believed in healing through prayer, not medicine. Even when her health began to fail, she never went to a doctor. She never told anyone she was sick. No one saw it coming. On April 12, 2019, she passed away in silence in Princeton, New Jersey. The cause of death? Officially unknown. But the truth? It was a goodbye that might not have had to happen. She was 70. Her passing sent shockwaves through the artistic community, not just because she left too soon, but because the world didn't get the chance to say goodbye. A woman who gave so much love on screen slipped away quietly, alone. Georgia Engel didn't just leave behind laughter. She left behind a question that still lingers. What if she had asked for help? Brian Turk played Gabriel, the quiet, thoughtful carnival worker whose calm energy stood out even in a chaotic world. Just like in real life, he didn't need to shout to be seen. His presence spoke louder than words. Standing at 6 feet 4 inches with sharp features and a gentle soul, Brian was the kind of actor who never chased the spotlight. He didn't have to. Whether it was Jurassic Park, The Lost World, Crocodile Dundee in L.A., or The Jamie Foxx Show, he brought quiet strength to every role, earning deep respect in Hollywood without ever needing fame. But behind that calm presence was a man fighting an invisible war. In 2018, Brian was diagnosed with aggressive brain cancer, the kind that doesn't ask questions, the kind that tears through your mind, steals your strength, and leaves no room for hope. He never went public with it. He didn't want sympathy, just time. Time with his wife Emily and his young son who still needed bedtime stories and morning pancakes. But cancer doesn't care who you are, and on September 13, 2019, it took him, fast, brutal, and unforgiving. He died at just 49 with a child still growing, a career still blooming, and a life brutally cut short. His death didn't make headlines. There were no breaking news banners, just a silent ripple of grief that moved through those who had worked with him, and those lucky enough to know the kind of man he really was. Martin Mull played Russell, the quirky pill-popping pharmacist whose bizarre advice and unpredictable presence became a fan favorite from 2003 to 2014. He brought chaos and charm to every scene, always walking the line between hilarious and totally unhinged. But that eccentric energy wasn't just an act. It reflected a creative spirit that refused to be boxed in. Mull was a true Renaissance man, a satirical country musician, a fine artist with solo exhibitions, and an actor whose voice and face became staples of American pop culture. Whether it was Colonel Mustard in Clue, Leon Karp in Roseanne, or Willard Kraft in Sabrina the Teenage Witch, Martin always left a mark. Outside the spotlight, his life was just as colorful. After 2 divorces, he married singer Wendy Haas, and together they had a daughter, Maggie Mull, who followed his footsteps into television, becoming a producer for Family Guy. He often said he didn't believe in organized religion, once claiming it had done more harm than good. That blunt honesty was part of what made him so uniquely Martin Mull. In his later years, he stayed active in the arts, appearing in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, The Ranch, and countless sitcoms. But behind the scenes, his health was slowly declining. After a long illness that he kept private, Martin Mull passed away peacefully at his home in Los Angeles on June 27, 2024, just weeks before his 81st birthday. Though the exact cause was never shared, his daughter confirmed he had fought bravely. And in the end, Martin Mull left us the way he lived, quietly, without drama, but leaving behind a legacy of brilliance, wit, and unforgettable characters. Holland Taylor played Evelyn Harper, the brutally hilarious, cold-hearted mother everyone loved to hate. With a single raised eyebrow and razor-sharp wit, she turned every scene into a masterclass of dry comedy and emotional manipulation. But behind the character's cutting lines was a woman who had fought for decades to be heard in an industry that often dismissed older women as invisible. Long before 2.5 Men, Holland had already weathered countless closed doors, casting rejections and ageist whispers. She didn't rise to stardom in her 20s or 30s. She broke through at an age when most actresses are being pushed out quietly, and she did it with ferocity. Her stage work was fearless. Her Emmy-winning role as Judge Roberta Kittleson in The Practice wasn't just a performance, it was a declaration. A woman over 40 can still think, work, succeed, and cook. That one line echoed far beyond the Emmy stage and into the hearts of every woman who had ever felt erased. But even as the world clapped, Holland Taylor still battled isolation. For years, she kept a deeply personal truth locked away, terrified that coming out as gay would destroy the respect she had fought so hard to earn. It wasn't until she was 72, when most people fade quietly into retirement, that she made her boldest move yet. Her relationship with Sarah Paulson, 32 years younger, stunned the press and inspired millions. She faced the media storm head-on. No apologies, no hiding, just love, honesty, and the kind of courage that Hollywood rarely rewards. In that moment, Holland Taylor wasn't just a TV icon. She became a symbol of what it means to live fully, regardless of the rules. As of 2025, at 82 years old, she's still working, still sharp, and still fighting, not just for roles, but for visibility, equality, and truth. While the world saw a vain, hilarious mother on screen, those who truly looked deeper saw a woman who rewrote what it meant to age, to love, and to endure. Charlie Sheen played Charlie Harper, a jingle-writing bachelor living in luxury, drowning in booze and women, and laughing through the wreckage. It was a role so natural, so hauntingly familiar that fans couldn't tell where the character ended and Charlie began. By 2010, Sheen wasn't just the face of the show, he was the king of television. Earning nearly $2 million per episode, adored by millions, he had it all. But behind the scenes, the real Charlie was spiraling. Addiction, arrests, broken marriages, outbursts. The laughter on screen masked a life cracking underneath the weight of its own chaos. In 2011, it all imploded. Sheen publicly attacked producer Chuck Lorre in an erratic media meltdown. He was fired, humiliated in front of the world, and became a symbol of self-destruction. One day he was America's highest-paid actor. The next he was toxic, unemployable, alone. Then in 2015 came the shattering truth. Charlie Sheen was HIV positive. He had kept it secret for 4 years, out of fear, shame, and blackmail. Millions of dollars paid to silence people, friends vanished, trust shattered. The diagnosis didn't just change his body, it changed how the world saw him. Now 60, Charlie lives far from the red carpets that once begged for his smile. He has stayed sober in recent years, and he's made small steps back into the industry. But the bright lights don't shine like they used to. The boyish grin is still there, but it's quieter now, tired. And when he looks back, Charlie Sheen doesn't just see a career, he sees a warning of fame unhinged, of brilliance burned out, of what happens when the man behind the character can't find his way home. Jon Cryer played Alan Harper, the unlucky, broke, but endlessly lovable brother who somehow survived every twist the show threw at him. And fittingly, Jon became the only actor to appear in every single episode of 2.5 Men. Through scandals, cast shakeups, and even war zones of egos, he was the calm in the chaos, the steady heart of a sitcom that was anything but steady. While Charlie Sheen's meteoric rise and infamous meltdown made headlines, it was Jon who quietly held the show together, even as he was being vilified by the very person he once called a friend. When Sheen was fired in 2011, he launched a vicious media tirade, branding Cryer a traitor and turning the public spotlight into a weapon. Overnight, Jon became a target. He was mocked, doubted, dragged into tabloids, not for something he did, but simply for staying. And still, he stayed, showed up, worked hard, and never once fired back. It was one of the most brutal silent storms any actor could endure, and Jon weathered it alone. No scandals, no rebuttals, just quiet strength. Behind the scenes, he lived a life just as grounded. 2 marriages, 2 children, and a deep lifelong faith in his Methodist roots. He once described himself as a straight wimpy dork after constantly being mistaken for gay, and did so with a smile that showed nothing ever really broke him. As of 2025, Jon Cryer is 60, still acting, still kind, still standing. And for anyone who's ever been stabbed in the back, pushed to the sidelines, or told to stay silent, his story is more than inspiring. It's a quiet revolution. Angus T. Jones played Jake Harper, the naive, goofy, and sometimes hilariously clueless son whose one-liners and blank stares lit up every scene. At just 10 years old, Angus became the most lovable half-man in the sitcom's trio, winning hearts across America with his natural timing and round-cheek charm. But early fame came with a heavy cost. By 17, he was the highest-paid child actor on American television, earning a jaw-dropping $300,000 per episode. Yet behind the scenes, the pressure was mounting. As Jake's character was pushed into increasingly adult situations, drugs, sex, rebellion, Angus began to feel uncomfortable and disconnected from the role that made him famous. In 2012, at just 19 years old, he did the unthinkable. Angus publicly denounced 2.5 Men, calling it filth that conflicted with his newfound Christian beliefs. In a now infamous video, he even urged fans to stop watching the show. The backlash was swift and brutal. He was dropped from season 11 and only returned briefly for the series finale in season 12. That was the last time Jake Harper appeared on screen. Now 31 years old, Angus has long left Hollywood behind. He briefly studied at the University of Colorado before stepping entirely out of the industry. In 2023, he made a quiet cameo alongside Charlie Sheen in the series Bookie, but he hasn't signaled a full return. These days, he leads a private, grounded life, far removed from the spotlight that once defined him. His estimated net worth still hovers around $20 million, but his real pursuit now seems to be peace, not fame. 2.5 Men wasn't just a sitcom, it was a time capsule of humor, heartbreak, and unforgettable characters. Behind every laugh track were real lives, filled with highs, lows, triumphs, and tragedies. Some stars soared, others stumbled, but each one, in their own way, left something behind, whether it was a performance, a memory, or a lesson in resilience. If any of these stories touched you, Leave a like and tell us in the comments, which actor do you miss the most? Let's keep their memory alive, not just as characters, but as the humans they truly were.